just everyone is sitting and looking at me, and the room is kind of quiet. So is it time for me to talk now?
I think so.
Yes. Of course, you didn't hear that, right? The open mic. Listen, it's my pleasure to be sitting here this morning and welcoming all of you. And I hope that this is one of the most learned experiences you've ever had in your martial art career. And it's actually fun for me to see so many new faces. It's been a while, and you've seen pictures of me, up there, but maybe never in the flesh. I think the picture is probably better. This is also, the very first time that my title has changed. See, when you're a Grandmaster and somebody finally, after hundreds of years becomes also a Grandmaster, then your title changes. Okay, so I'm sitting here, so the very first time publicly with any audience, I'm now, and it has probably more to do with my age, Senior Grandmaster Lee. I know. And I can still walk to some degree. If you had my stories up, I have to be at least 100 years old, by the way, if you ever talk to me. But listen, the thing that is beautiful about this particular seminar is you've got the top people in the Bak Budo system are in this room right now. The very top are sitting, all but one. I just realized wasn't going to be able to make it on time, are the masters of the system. And I want to take a minute and talk about them because you're going to have an opportunity to shake hands with them. You're going to have an opportunity to get a picture taken with them. And you're going to have an opportunity to maybe even ask them a question. But the four of them are people that really paid their dues, and all four are world class. The first one, she's actually invisible today, is Master Futini. And Master Futini, I know she kind of floats in and out, but she's continued her training for, I don't know how many years, 30 years, 20, 30 years, is actually really unique because she is the very first woman ever in the Bak Budo system to get a black belt. Now, I don't know how to say it, and I was going to kind of pick on her today, but I'll move on to Master Uzuna so I can pick on him more. You're going to have half her time, so hang on. When I started East West Martial Arts Schools, it was 1967. And it was pretty much male-dominated because the reason that martial arts became so popular in the United States was the Vietnam War, believe it or not. And in those days, when you were a young man, you had to register for the draft when you were 15 or 16 years old. And when you were 18 years old, unless you applied for and got a college deferment, you were going into the military. Everybody, unless there was a medical ailment or something. And so it became extremely popular. And when I opened the Castro Valley School, which is still there, it was the largest martial arts school in the United States. It used to be the Daughtry department store. And it was huge. And I had people coming from all over. I had people coming from San Jose, people from Dublin, Walnut Creek, and we wound up opening a school in Dublin and Walnut Creek and eventually San Jose. But to get to the point of this story, there was always a junior instructor training program, just like today, and an instructor training program. There was also something called the Richard Lee Special Squad. And I think both of these guys, all three, were in it. And it occurred to me after about 2.5 years that some of the women were looking really good. And I saw that there was at least half a dozen of them, that because I would watch very carefully, really had the potential to become a black belt. And so I made an announcement to the group, because we'd get together every Saturday morning, sound familiar? At 6 o'clock. and we'd work out till 10. So at the end of the workout, they were all exhausted, and I think they half realized what I was saying, which happens in the morning to get together like this anyway. Yeah. That I was going to invite some of our top women to participate in the special squad training. And it went right over their heads. However, the next Wednesday evening, there was like a committee that had been selected of some of the top guys. I don't know if you were in on that committee. Probably not. This was 1969. You know, where were you in 1969? How old were you?
I was 3.
You were 3 years old. You hadn't been born yet.
It was -1.
And she was a glint in her father's eye or something, you know. But then I'm out there kicking and punching, running a school and establishing, you know, this organization. But in any case, they came to me. They said, you know, Master Lee, or might even been Mr. Lee then. We've been thinking about this, and you know, the idea, you know, if you want to do this, then then that's the way it's going to be done, you know. But you know, having women in the class, you know, men can't be men, locker room talk. Although I don't swear, so there was never any of that, you know, in it ever. But it just would be different if women were there. And I said, okay, I'll tell you what. Thank you very much for telling me something I had already thought through, but we're going to do it. And for the very first time, the following Saturday, the women are there. The most amazing thing happened, okay? And, I mean, these were world-class workouts, you know, as you know. I mean, we had people, it was almost a rite of passage to throw up in the class. In fact, I told people that, you know, you got to work your guts out literally, and you're going to throw up. And I think everybody at least once threw up because they want to show me they're working their guts out. And, you know, some of it I didn't. To this day, I wonder if it were real. You know, it was just awful, okay? But it was different that morning. And the thing that was most different is their posture. Shoulders were back, chest was out, lats were sticking out here because they were showing off for the women. It was like a peacock show, okay? and instead of being exhausted, I mean, I would really push them, and they were standing up and they were doing it. I thought, this is the greatest thing I've ever done. and of course, how am I doing? Great. Yeah. And of course, the women were terrified because, you know, you had, this is, you know, 69, it was under 70, but we still had state champions and, you know, Parker's International. We had people that had won that, which you've done. And they had to fight these guys. You know, they had to spar. And this was unheard of in the industry, okay? And it's probably one of the greatest things I'm most proud of is what we've done, you know, for the women. Now, what I'm not so proud of is the fact, thinking about it here as I sit here, is that was 1969. Norma Futini, I don't know, it was at least 20 years later that she walked through the door. And she was the very first person to get her black belt, okay? And she broke the ceiling, you know, for you. So she's not here. Her mother is coming up on 100 or something. And, you know, she really had to take care of her like Ozuna did for me this morning. And, you know, Hodge wheeling me in here. And, you know, well, you have to make a sense of humor about these types of things, okay? So there's always something true about what I'm saying, by the way. I exaggerate a little bit, but it's all for the good. But the point on this is that now I can tell you, and I've traveled more than anybody in the history of martial arts, at least at one point in time, and I've seen the training methods of the different styles and whatnot, and I've seen the very best in the men and the women, and we definitely have the best of both, but especially the women, and it was really based on what Norma Futini did. So you want to talk to her about her thesis book, because she's got to write about it. And you know, she fell madly in love, you know, with this. You know, she really didn't date much, and we're recording this, so this is really for Norma. And I remember one day we had this demonstration, and this guy came walking up. The first thing I noticed is he had these orange shoes on. And he had shorts on, you know. Bermuda shorts, and he had great calves, okay? And he strolls up to Master Fujini. Master Fujini, you watching this? Okay, I'm talking to the camera. And he said, hi. And I want to tell you that I have been admiring you for a long time. I saw the demonstration that you did at the Hyatt, which is true, by the way. The rest of it, kind of. Where you did a double throw. The guy threw you, and you want to see this on tape, by the way. It's the Richard Lee 2001 demonstration team. And when you go home tonight or sometime before the seminar is over, please watch that demo, because you're going to see these guys. Were you a black belt at that point? I really can't remember. It's been so long ago. She does it. It's a double throw, that is very impressive. But this guy, he really loved that. And so she looks at him, and we've all had her look at us that way. She looks at him and she said, "Who are you?" And he looks into her eyes and he said, "I'm Rocky." And that did it. I mean, I saw her heart melt. This was the perfect man, that her husband was going to be named Rocky. That's true, by the way. He is. And he may come later today. And I can tell you, at the Nationals, he always walks around with those same orange shoes on because, of course, he is well aware of this story, which no one has ever heard before, including me. But at this point, I would have her stand up, and then she would say some words. But I can only hear what she's saying in my head right now. So I'm going to move on to the next one, which is, if you had an attractive contest, he would probably lose when it comes to all of the different masters that are sitting here. I mean, ugly, it was the thing. I mean, he really had problems and whatnot, okay? And the one thing about him, when he came in, I taught him, unfortunately for me, okay, on the first 5 lessons, okay? I never had such an underpowered, his hands were so slow that, I thought he was here to learn the caterpillar system or something. The legs were good, he's got a good calf, but the arms were nothing. But I told him, I said, look, if this is something that you're interested in, how am I doing? Is this about accurate?
Great.
Yeah. I said, if this is something that you're interested in, and you really want to pursue this, and you have a few hundred years, I think it's something you probably could be good at. So the next thing I knew, finished the first 5 lessons, every day. I used to explain it where he had short pants on and a lollipop, but I promised him this morning I wouldn't use that part of it. It's actually Master Newman that I'm going to use that line on. But he was there. I mean, he was running around with his white belt on. He was watching the junior instructor class, and then I don't know what happened. I think he bribed somebody or something. But the next thing I know, he's in it. Okay, and then he's a TA, a teacher's aide. He even helped me in a lesson. I thought, God, where did this guy come from? But the story I want to tell you about him is he was being tested. I can't even. I think it was a brown belt, first or second or something like that. And the fellow that was running the black belt test was one of my high-ranking staff members who was on the 1975 team at the very first World Tournament in the Republic of China, Terry Kane. And so I got an outline of who was in the class, and of course I remembered him, as the little kid that I taught in the first 5 lessons. And what Kane told me was the guy next to him is his teacher, and I thought, well, that's kind of interesting, because he kind of looks better than his teacher. It wasn't an appearance standpoint, and for sure. And so in any case, halfway through the test, I called Master Kane over and I said, now what are you going to do? Because we've never had this happen before, but he's going to get his first degree brown belt, but the teacher isn't. And that could be a little trouble psychologically for the teacher. But the reality is that is exactly correct on that. That's exactly what happened. And but John is an interesting case, and I told him to, since he didn't have it naturally, he should take some acting classes, so that he could convince people that that he knew something. and after a lot of plastic surgery and muscle, here he is today. Sorry, I didn't mean to give him that. Yeah, but the point is, he not only developed his arms, but if you look in the Guinness World Record for the most punches a human ever threw in 1 minute, you're going to see the name John Ozuna. A teacher, senior Grandmaster Richard Lee, who taught him everything he knows. I'm actually just adding that. That's actually not in there. But his name is in there. And for those of you that don't know, he did set the, it's in the Guinness World Record. He actually threw, are you ready for this? 713 punches in 1 minute. Okay? So, why don't you stand up? I'm gonna have you talk. I actually want him to try to flex a little bit if you can here. Yeah. So what I thought, in fact, because I've got two other masters that are next to me here, that their hand speed is not exactly slow either. I mean, Jurowitz can tell you when you went to Lithuania to pick her up, and he's got fast gun. You have to look at the tape from last time. But what was the point I was trying to make? Speed. Yeah, but he's got the speed. Well, now that's said, I think I better just have you. You want to say some things? Because it seems like just the other day that you were out here in that class.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah. I'd like to wish everybody a very good morning. It's everything that we do, we have to really understand where its origin is from. And Senior Grandmaster Lee, I credit everything for. So everything that occurs, as a part of my life, because I started so early in terms of training. Senior Grandmaster Lee provided the how-to, provided the step-by-step, provided the motivation, the example. He was the one who showed me how it should be done. Where, a lot of us have tremendous amounts of accomplishments in this subject, and that's become common language in the system. It's extraordinary outside our circle.
That's fine.
Extraordinary.
It's not going to show.
And when people meet people like you, they know they're meeting somebody that has been infected with potential of greatness. And you are the best of the best of the Bach-Fido system right here sitting down, and obviously, in front of. So, again, I can only credit Senior Grandmaster Lee, for all my accomplishments and just always providing an example of humility and humor. So thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Here's the $500. You're sure you actually said that word for word, just like I told you. People, you're kind of seeing it from the top down, but there are a lot of systems that can teach you martial arts, can teach you the techniques and this type of thing. There's one thing that we have in this system, okay, and it does come from the top down, and it's the spirit. Okay, and every one of these masters here personify this, and you now are an extension of that. I'm going to talk a little bit about the things they've done, but now remember, it's your turn. Okay, because the greatest systems are judged by the content of the systems, but the greatest systems are really judged by the students that they produce. Okay, you can go to a city college, or you can go to a Harvard or a Yale or a Stanford. That's really what I wanted this to be, okay? And that's actually what has happened. The next one is Master Newman. And Master Newman, out of everyone sitting up here, is probably the most recognizable to you. And she is the vice president of Mentor Enterprises. She is the general manager of East West Martial Arts School, and I just simply call her the boss lady. And she's the one that really, I probably shouldn't say this, but she tells Grandmaster Buckley and myself what to do, okay? And where to sit she gave me this script, don't make these points, which I'm following this, right, word for word, all from her, okay? But she's an interesting young woman. Just had a child, we should give her a hand on that. And I'm going to put her in charge of our breeding program, because these children obviously will be part of the family of Bachfudo. You better not show this one to Joe, by the way, her husband. But the point is, what was my point? She came in preteen, but Miss Newman really is an old soul, because we had a bonding that was like nothing I had ever had, and she was like a daughter to me, very, very quickly. And we had conversations about life, and don't date, boys, and boys are bad, girls are good, and you're pointing to different people. Yeah, okay, good. Who? Tell me later. No, we'll talk. Oh, good. Well, I've already had a conversation with some of them. But the point is, you've actually, well, this was the first time those words were spoken to any female in the Bachfudo system, and in Saltrup. But she had a private trainer that was trying to get on the I think it was 1996 team, and she did. And when she go to Brown University after, and a very bright gal. And Miss Newman, again, preteen, got permission from her parents to come with us as almost like the mascot of the team as a child, okay? So she sat there and she watched, and all four of them, if Master Futini were here, were on that team. And she decided, again, preteen, pre-puberty, that she was going to be a world champion one day. And, we talked about it. She applied herself like few, other than the people that are right here beside her. And she was the first person ever in the history of the Baku system to get a black belt before they graduated from high school. She was still in high school, and she got her black belt. She had a 4.0 average. I hope I'm not exaggerating. Close. Yeah. Plus, it was more than 4.0, okay, for the sake of this conversation. Genius level, okay? And she decided that she wanted to go to Santa Clara University, which is like a Catholic Jesuit type thing, because she was, I think, interested in changing her religion and the whole, this is not true, by the way, but in any case, she wanted to work with Jesuits who thought that they really had a closer relationship to God. And and she started training for the world tournament that was supposed to be held in, I think, 99, 2000. I forget the dates on this. We can fact check it later. It's on video. So you can get copies of this. But in any case, she was going to Santa Clara, and she was dropping in your school and hitting workouts down there every Wednesday and every Saturday. She took the ride from San Jose, came up, and was working, and right alongside everyone that was working out for that team. And to my astonishment, I think it was a month or two before the World Tournament, for the very first time, it was canceled. And I got a telegram, and I think I showed it to you, first. And the World Tournament was canceled. And she had put all her work into this. So I think it took me 2 days to figure out how I'm going to explain this to her. He explained it to her and told her that I can guarantee you that they're going to reschedule this, which they did. And to cut a long story short, she not only won that tournament, but she won 3 world tournaments in a row, okay? She was a 3-time world champion. There's more. And her abilities were so evident in the way that she won those tournaments that both Grandmaster Wong and I could really see that she could be a real asset in terms of somebody to hold up and say, now this is the master, like I felt with every one of these people, and I'm going to feel with you if I'm around, okay? And they made her the first woman ever to be asked to coach the U.S. team, okay? Now that's the time to give it applause. There's more, but I'm not going to go on. Okay, but the next person is, this is actually kind of interesting as I'm sitting here. This is the first time publicly, that I'm able to do this. So you're going to have to give him a standing ovation too. Is that this guy? His name is now Grandmaster Buckley, John Buckley. He's not senior yet because, his hair, he's got no gray hair. Oh. Yeah, actually, he blames it on Newman. Newman is to John what Norma was for me. And, what can I say about John? John, you're going to love this. Newman, what I forgot to say is when she came in a kid with a lollipop during her first 5 lessons. That'll be your story from now on. But Grandmaster Buckley, try to picture this now. He's right in front of you here. He had an afro. I swear to God, this is true. He had an afro. So when he came in, I thought, well, this is interesting. This kid looks like a mushroom, And John, I think maybe just give you kind of the kind of guy he is that. I've often said that the future belongs to the efficient few. And I have to say, from the beginning, in terms of what I wanted and what I needed and what I actually needed assistance on, was the organization of the content of the system. And this is something that he has been extremely instrumental on to a degree that I can't really express. And but to give you an idea in terms of the dedication, we're getting ready for the tournament. I can't remember what world tournament it was, but we were 3 months, 4 months out, not much more. Okay, and he was putting a demonstration on, and he did the Ozuna, we call it, which you did at Sun Moon Lake that time. We're getting all the applause. The place I did that jump kick, But he was doing this in a mass attack demonstration. I'm standing in the middle. I had just introduced and as he came down from that, I saw his right ankle buckle. And it buckled in a way that I knew, based on my experience in this system, that that's not normal. As a matter of fact, I knew he broke his ankle. But you know what? He continued that demonstration. He finished that demonstration, okay? And when he finished it, he walked off the mat, favoring the leg. But I don't think that there were. I might have been, for the sake of this drive, the only one that knew, that he did that with the demonstration. And it's been every step of the way. There have been challenges, that have come for him. We're doing the books. He wrote the book on my 50th anniversary in martial arts. He's actually putting together the foundation books, and there's 2 books. There's one is going to be This is Bakudo, and the other one is What is Bakudo. Write the one What is Bakudo first, so we can get the point across, and then This is Bakudo. I kind of like that. Okay, but he's always raised, to the occasion, to the point where he is now a Grandmaster. I want to say something at this point, is that the people, especially the people here, but the black belts and my disciples in particular, I'm going to try to say this the way I want to say it. You've given a meaning to my life that I probably never could have imagined, okay, at the beginning, way back in 1953, of stepping onto the mat for the first time in martial arts. Never could have imagined it. It was really, in your life story, which I've just touched upon with the highest ranking people in this system, have impacted me in a way that it's not. These are stories that I will never forget, and I will take with me forever. And I really thank them for that. I think we should give him a hand. Yeah. The reality is, it doesn't seem that long ago that he was sitting out here, in the class. Okay. You want to say
Sure.
words?
Yeah, welcome everybody, and thank you, Senior Grandmaster, for those kind words. There's been obviously a road for everybody to travel in life, and Senior Grandmaster Lee, in terms of the system, has been the hardest because he was the one that started it, and so that just goes without saying. The thing that I recognized when I first came in and working with Senior Grandmaster Lee for literally years, and we would spend 10, 12 hours a day sometimes in the school together, easy. And there were many times where we had opportunity to talk. And
I practically lived in the school, didn't I?
Yes, yeah. Practically, just about. But the thing that struck me at a young age, it's tough. It's tough. Some of you guys are going to face this. Some of you already have. Some of you may be wondering if you chose the right path. But it's tough to figure out what you want to do when you get all grown up. And you're, at a young age, what I learned from Senior Grandmaster Lee was very simple. Do what you love. Do what you love. And he gave me that opportunity in the 1980s, the late 80s. And that was an easy call for me because I saw what I wanted to be in him. And all of the things that he demonstrated, it wasn't anything that he demonstrated physically per se, although there was plenty of that, or wasn't the number of ticks on his belt, the number of stripes that was impressing me. It was just who he was. It's what he embodied. It's what he embodies today. It's always been very, very similar. His personality is really hasn't changed a whole lot. I mean, he's always been the gentleman that you see here, the sense of humor, the kindness. Of course, he carries an aura of respect, and there's a lot to that that most people will never know how that got to that point. But what you see in the person is a reflection of all those things, and he has taken the time more than anybody I've ever known in martial arts to pass that forward to students. And of course I had that opportunity, and the thing that Senior Grandmaster Lee, he never really asked for much from me in the sense that you might think. He really presented opportunity through responsibility. He gave me responsibility to test my capability, and then he would sit back and he would watch, and it was my job to prove that I was capable. And a good teacher, a great teacher, that's what they do, because you cannot do for a student what they must do for themselves. You can guide, you can teach, you pass on the wisdom, you point certain things out, but ultimately inside each student has to come to that realization themselves. And it really comes down to what it means to each one of us and each one of you. But that lesson was very powerful for me at a young age, just watching him in the school, just loving everything he did. No matter what the challenge was, what the situation was, he always went into it with that smile on his face and that attitude, and that was not missed by me at all. I was paying attention and really soaking it all in. And then probably what sealed the deal was, many of you have heard this before, but the 1989 World Tournament, I tried out for the team. I didn't make it. I was kind of a nothing in terms of ability at that point. But
well, you were green belt actually.
Yeah, that qualifies as nothing.
There's people here.
Yeah,
You want to be a little
it's okay.
sensitive.
Look, when we laugh, remember we're laughing with you because of all that. But I didn't make the team. But Senior Grandmaster said you should go, and I said, okay, I'll go. And he said you should go and watch because the next one's in '92, and you're going to be ready for that. And so I went and watched, and it gave, for the first time, it gave him and I a chance to talk. But more importantly, I was able to watch, and what I saw was very educational, very inspirational, and very important in the grand scheme of things, because there were a lot of grandmasters and masters from around the world at that tournament, probably 40-something countries. And what happened, because I wasn't on the team, I had more time, than the two people that made the team, that were my classmates. And so, like Senior Grandmaster had always done and continued to do, and has continued to do, is he gave me certain responsibilities. And there was one afternoon where we had actually it was just Senior Grandmaster and I, and we were going to the buffet to eat, and because it was in Las Vegas, just so you know. So everything's a buffet in Las Vegas. But we're in the buffet, and all of a sudden there's a procession heading our way, and it's General Chen, General Wu, and Grandmaster Wong, and all of the big people in the show at that time. This was General Chen and General Wu. They were the president, vice president of the International Chinese Push Federation. They were the equivalent, actually, in terms of the Republic of China, of like the head of the CIA and FBI. So they're pretty powerful guys. So they're headed into the buffet, and so Senior Grandmaster said, "John, go get chairs quickly. Go get chairs. Set up a table." And so I start running around, like mad, grabbing chairs and setting up a table and get the table set up, and then everybody's arriving. And Senior Grandmaster goes over, shakes hands, says, "Please have a seat," and nobody would sit. So General Chen's looking at Senior Grandmaster, and he's like, "You sit," and Grandmaster's like, "You sit," and they're going back and forth probably 10 times. I can't even remember. And
I think we wound up all sitting at the same time.
That's actually what happened. But the detail in that is that General Chen's rear hit the seat just before Senior Grandmaster leaves. And it hit me, the respect that he was showing to somebody that he had met maybe before. I don't know how many times, but
First World Tournament.
Yeah,
1975.
But it was
like a reunion.
It was unusual, to see that. From my perspective, I had no idea if they had relations or not, and it was very impactful to me just to see the respect that he was showing to somebody from another culture, somebody from a totally different background, and that he would defer to that person, because at that time, Senior Grandmaster is the only person that we knew as a teacher, and that really impacted me, because it was very, like, the lesson of that, just showing respect. The respect you will receive is based on the respect that you give, and it really is that simple. And this system, it's kind of a secret to this system's success in international competition or even just local competition, is that etiquette, just that common respect that everybody really deserves. But in terms of the hierarchy of the system, Senior Grandmaster Lee, myself, I know Master Zuna, Master Newman, the titles to the individual aren't really that important, but it's important to the system. And it's important because it maintains discipline and etiquette. It gives a protocol by which everybody follows. to help lead a more disciplined life, and to use the people that are at the higher level as examples, which of course the higher people, that's their responsibility to live up to that, and then that follows on to the next person and the next person. But that was kind of a deal sealer for me, because at that point I realized this is what I want to do, because I could see the nature of the man and how he carried himself, not just in the school, but now on an international scene all around the world. And it gave me opportunity to travel, obviously, all around the world. And the conclusion that I've come to is what we have is very special. It's very unique, because I've seen a lot out there in the world today of martial arts. And it's a very hard thing to do, to create this kind of spirit and the kind of people. And when I look at the people, even all of our black belts, these are very accomplished people. Their body of work, each one of them is very impressive, because as teachers, we make sure to give them the responsibility, and if they follow in the footsteps of their teachers, just like you guys are trying to do now in this weekend seminar, then it's kind of hard to miss. But there's a lot of things that happen in life. There's different challenges, different forces that are pulling at everybody. My advice to everybody is when those things happen, just look to your teacher. Look to one of these black belts. Look to any one of us that could be of help to you, in a time where you might just need the right words of wisdom spoken to you to keep you focused. But life's not easy for anybody. The main thing is what you do with the things that come up in your life that's going to make the difference. But I appreciate, obviously, the relationship more than anything. The fact that Senior Grandmaster is here and taking the time to speak, not just about each one of the masters, but also just talk to all of you guys, I think is a great gift and a wonderful opportunity for all of you to use as a springboard into this weekend, and just go for it. Have a blast.
As a Grandmaster, the highest promotion that you can give to one of your students is a disciple. And it's something that's done in China. You don't see it that much in the United States, and actually with the advent of mixed martial arts and some of the things that are happening in the martial art field, there's some concepts that are totally lost. Okay, in fact, I think two comments I'll make. It's in some ways not healthy, and two, it's gotten so far away from the reality that instead of creating someone that is humble and someone that if you were to meet them, you would never imagine. It's almost like a deception. You never show off or, try to prove yourself publicly, okay? I could never keep my martial art uniform on and go to a Safeway store, as an example, But today, with a lot of it, it's become very, very popular. It shows arrogance in violence, okay, which is really not at all what the Shaolin monks, really had in mind. The mind, body, spirit. But there are 3 people that are here today that I would like to publicly ask to be disciples, and I'd like you to help me welcome them. There's 3, so wait until I say all 3. But first, Ms. Baker, if you would stand up. Ms. Liu, if you would stand up. And Mr. Stam, if you would stand up. This is great, and you guys, I want you to know that that is a great honor as far as the history of this system for you to be present when this happens, because normally this is a very private ceremony at my home, okay? But this is a little bit long overdue. I won't bore you with the details, where all the other disciples come with a candle, and it's actually quite beautiful. And there is a disciple book, there's a disciple garden at my home that is a granite book, and the name is hand carved in granite on that book forever, okay? But what I wanted to say, because I alluded to it, in terms of mixed martial arts and this type of thing, is that there's something called Qi. You've heard the name. It gets bandied around all the time, and most people don't have the slightest idea what they're talking about, okay? But if you looked in it's probably changed now, okay? But if you looked in an old Chinese dictionary, what you would see under the word Qi, the Japanese would say Ki, K-I-C-H-I, is gas. Is gas or air. And, if you're out of air, then you're dead. So now it's come to be known as life force, okay? But Qi is something that's very important in really great martial arts, and it's alive and well. I refer to my masters as people that are working with Qi in your acting career. That's really what you're doing, okay? And you can control people with Qi. You may be feeling it. You may have felt it in the last half hour, listening to me and whatever. If you ever meet somebody where you're, this person has very strong Qi, and you can, I think we have a president, I shouldn't have said that uses it to control people, okay? So it's good and it's bad. But what gives your Qi its power are your emotions. When you see someone that is really a great martial artist move, if you're sitting there right now, every hair on my body is standing up, the back of my neck. I'm just thinking about it. I call it the warrior spirit, and it will take you over. And once you get to that point, when you move, for you, it's an enlightening experience. For those that are in tune, like hopefully all of you that are here today listening to this, because this is an historic meeting, it's very important in terms of the scheme of things. It really will change you. But when you do a technique, when you do a form, and you stand there, when you're winning the world championships, remember, right? We talked about this before the world tournament. Somebody's got to win. Why not you? Okay? Somebody's got to do it. Why not me? You're in a tournament, or you're demonstrating. You do maybe it'll really happen to you when you're all alone, in front of the mirror. Think about this. I'm sure you've all had somewhat of an experience on this, and you feel an enlightenment. It goes through your veins, and you get passionate about it, and you do a technique in such a way that you're amazed. It really stands out to you. Okay? To me, it's like a vision of being like Master Buckley, who plays the piano behind his head and all. I mean, he shows off all the time on that. But it's like being a violinist. But your whole body is your instrument. And when you do it, and when you talk, like right now, I'm doing my best to get this across to you, and I'm using it. Okay, it gives you a power. It lifts you to a point where, in many cases, only the masters, and to be a master, you have to know what I'm talking about. You have to know right now. Listen to me. Look at me. You have to know where I'm coming from right now, this minute. You have to feel this right now. You feeling this? Okay? You got it? And once you get to that point, you're on your way to be doing amazing things in terms of martial arts. Okay? I heard it is said that humans are. I don't know how humans made it. They can't. They don't run as fast as a cheetah. They don't have the dexterity as a monkey going through the trees, and or the strength of a gorilla or something like that. Really? Have you seen the Olympics lately? Have you seen a gymnast lately? I've never seen a monkey do that. Have you seen what's his name, that Bolt guy? Okay. I'm not sure that in terms of a short distance that he's not faster, okay? In terms of strength, in terms of speed. I heard about this guy. He did 713 punches in a minute. My God. You know? By the way, just a quick aside to this. I don't want to jump off the subject. Make sure I get back on the subject, Mr. Buckley. But I thought when he did that, standing there, I didn't think he broke the record, actually. But when it came out and he had broken the record, I thought to myself, you know what, I was going to do this. I was going to be. If he is going to be in the Guinness World Record, it's time for me to do it, okay? Only at my age, I didn't think I really wanted to do it that way. But I was going to be the most hit person in the history of the world in 1 minute. And I was going to have him at 713. This is 713. That's 850. Okay. And I was going to get my masters, Futini, she's not exactly slow, around me, one in the front, one in the side, one in the back. And they were going to hit me. And we're going to have all these cameras and whatnot like you did. And then my name, too, could be in the Guinness World Record as the most hit master in the history of this subject of martial arts. I was going to put a demonstration on one time, just my sense of humor. And a guy was going to be at the back of the room with a gun. And I was going to have a steel plate on my hand like this, which, I see it says, Grandmaster Lee, it's 50 minutes, you're way over time, you got to stop talking. Sorry, Miss Newman, that was from Miss Newman. I was going to hold a steel plate in my hand. I was going to stand there like this, and I swear to God I was going to do this. We ought to do this in a demonstration sometime. And we were really practicing it. It was like catching the arrow, So in any case, I was going to do it with a gun, because I wanted to be effective on it. My sense of humor again. I'll stand there with the plate in my hand. The gun goes off, and I would go like this, and the guy next to me would fall down like he got hit, like I had actually blocked a bullet, I remember hearing a story one time that if you shoot a rattlesnake and the bullet, I don't know, this is a story, okay? And that bullet is within 1 inch of the rattlesnake's head. You're going to hit him in the head every time? Because the rattlesnake is so fast that he'll actually bite the bullet coming. What do you think of that? Well, it's bullshit, okay? It doesn't happen. But it's an interesting story. When somebody told me that, I thought that was terrific. And then my curious mind, I wanted to find that out. But I got to use the line here 50 years later with you guys. But listen, let me tell you the essence of martial arts, and then I want to do one more thing, and then according to I told you that it's 52 minutes and 30 seconds. You've got to wrap up. What was it? Oh, you've heard mind, body, spirit. Let me tell you what it is in terms of martial arts. And those words came from Chinese martial arts. Is this being recorded? Okay. Mind, body, spirit. Okay. Here's what it amounts to in a nutshell. And when I talk, by the way, it's not that I couldn't give a better explanation on Qi, which I've talked about, or what I'm about to say. I have distilled things down so that it makes sense, and I know you are going to understand it. And it's factual and it's true. I can embellish on things sometimes, okay? But really what it amounts to, and it has everything to do with you. Mind, body, spirit means the mind has got the responsibility to discipline the body, to protect the spirit that dwells within, okay? Now, there's something I'm very serious about. I've talked to this with the masters. In fact, I probably haven't talked about this. I can't remember the last time I actually talked about it. It's just coming out right now. Okay, so it's all new for you. But to me, it's very real. Okay? The body is the temple of the spirit. The body is the temple of the spirit. I don't think you should fool around with that. I don't think you should put anything in your body that's not good for you, okay? I really mean that, okay? Those, you don't know me, but I don't smoke or drink. I've never had any drugs. I've never even had a puff of marijuana, which is even legal now. I'm kind of a living example of this, but Some of it maybe you should use me as a warning, not an example. but the point is, it's true, okay? But I'm very, 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 very sensitive about that. The mind is the force that's going to discipline the body to protect the spirit that dwells within. But you want to protect, your spirit. I'm looking out here. When you're a young person, it isn't mind, body, spirit. Listen to me now. This is important, especially if you're young. It's body, mind, spirit. Okay? I don't talk about this often, but I'm motivated to make this point. It's body, mind, spirit. And when you start to become an adult, your body starts reacting to stimuli. I'm trying to think of a story that you got to kind of watch it on this, okay? But your body starts reacting, to things. Remember that really attractive girl that walked in? And I looked over at him. He was standing there with his little lollipop in his hand and whatnot. He looked at her and she was so beautiful, and he went, it was, remember that? And he had a reaction to that. It was like, oh my God, and he's been that way for the rest of his life. But the point is, I did it with a hot fudge sundae. And if you look at when I look at a hot fudge sundae, I really want that hot fudge sundae. I love hot fudge sundaes, people. Okay. When I look at a hot fudge, I say, I really want that hot fudge sundae. When I met Marcia, she was like a hot fudge sundae. Let's give Marcia a hand, by the way. I probably wouldn't be here. I love embarrassing her, by the way. She's actually a race car driver. This is true. So I don't get to drive anymore. She drives me around. In a car, if it doesn't go 200 miles an hour, she has no interest in it whatsoever. Okay? I just get a little nervous if she puts her helmet on. Then I know I'm in for a ride. It's actually all true. What was I saying? Talk about, I'm confused on the hot sundaes. Oh no, what's
the body when you're young?
Yeah, the body when you're young. You got to keep me on track here. I don't know why you get me into these things. Okay, but okay, you got that? So what happens when you're young? It's body, mind, spirit. I'm saying this in a way because I want you to remember this, okay? Because you're not going to learn it probably anywhere else. You're not going to learn this in college or whatever. Lou's looking at the camera. I think the video is about to run out, so this is unfortunate. Okay, probably. What do you think, Lay? How old are you? 22. Oh, it's starting to happen. I'm not sure it's ever going to happen with her, but usually when a person is 25 or in the mid-20s, late 20s, then it changes because the mind takes over. The mind says, if you don't want that reaction, then don't think that way, okay? You don't think that way. You think of other things, okay? Flowers, all right? And then it becomes mind, body, spirit, okay? And the last part of it is the spirit thing, because your spirit will reflect what you've done in your life with the mind and the body, okay? And that is the essence of this system. That's the key. That's your challenge, okay? The word discipline to me, the body part of it, the physical abilities of these geniuses up here that are world-class athletes, okay? That's for me, that's expected, okay? I'm a great teacher, okay? But that's probably a third of it, okay? The other 70% is what I'm trying to tell you right now. So listen, okay? The word discipline has to do with your brain, okay? If you keep thinking about something, there's no one you're going to meet that is more of an obsessive compulsive than now senior Grandmaster Lee. When I say, if you ever hear me say I'm going to do something, I am going to do that my whole life. I thought it was actually like I was autistic in a way. Because if I said I was going to do something, I had to do it. I had to do it no matter what it was. I had to do it. If I said I was going to do it, I had to do that. I had to learn how to take tests, because I would sit down and take a test in school, and if I got a question that I didn't know, I would sit there. And I'd be looking only at that question. And I had a guy that was a librarian at Stanford, taught a class at Foothill College. And he told me, he said, look, hotshot, what you do is use like a shotgun on this. When you go through a test, go through and answer all the questions that you know. Then go back and concentrate. So, the word, you can't see the forest because of the trees. A lot of people are like that, okay? But you make your world, listen to me, you make your world with your thoughts. The mind, body, spirit. Keep thinking about something, and you're going to find you're going to start moving in that direction. Be in a relationship. And think, this isn't working out for me, okay? Watch what happens. It's not going to work out for you, okay? Okay? It's easy when you're teaching what I teach, and you're going to be a world champion, okay? The one thing I have told to all three of these masters that are sitting here with me right now, okay, because they all have the capability of being a Grandmaster one day, is that you've got to get so good. Listen to me. You've got to get so good at the mind, body, spirit, and disciplining yourself, okay, that when you want something, you can will it to happen. You can be ironclad and will it to happen, whether it's a relationship or a job or self-improvement or an actor. Because an actor, he's got to get that across to the audience that is watching, okay? Are you getting this? You following me on this? Okay? So mind, body, spirit is very important to me. The body is the temple of your spirit. The last comment that I would make on this is that there's a saying that you are what you think, okay? That's true to a point. My people, when they're in a world tournament, I need to have them at a point where they can look across the ring, or they can look at those judges that are going to be judging them, and they can say, you know what? I can see these competitors, and they really want to win. I can see that they really want to win. But I'm going to win. And I'm going to win, and you have to believe this. Again, whether it's a relationship or whatever, raising a child, okay? Is you have to believe, here's the key, that you deserve it. You have to believe you deserve it. No matter what happened to you in your life, and we all have a history, okay? Somebody said, you could never do that. You can't do that. You jerk, you really can't do it. I grew up in a situation like that, if you've read the book, okay? But it's not what other people think, it's what you think. It's not what other people do, it's what you do, okay? You aren't what you think. Listen to me, okay? This is important. I'm glad we have this on video. Is it still running? Okay? It's logical. If somebody messes with you, like that director that yelled at you for standing in the wrong spot in that movie you were telling me about. I really got mad when you told me that story, okay? And you probably looked at that guy and you thought, you know what, you little squirt? I could pop your head like a grape, okay? he didn't say that, but it's my imagination again. I'm sorry, I'm kind of on a roll here this morning. All right, but the point is, if you thought about killing someone, you're thinking about killing someone. Now, if you took the next step and you killed them, killing somebody, it's logical. He's gone. I don't have to worry about this anymore. Unfortunately, you understand what I'm saying? So you have to get a perspective on that. So you're not what you think, you're what you do. You want to know what you are? Take a look at what you do. Why are you here? You're here. Some of you, I'm telling you, I would hope all of you are here to hear these words today. Okay? Because this is the foundation. This, in my mind, soon will be their job to pass this on. Okay? Is the real foundation in martial arts. You're not studying something new. This isn't something that I made up. This is something, for some reason, think about it, it's been around for thousands of years. And it wasn't the fact that you know how to do the kimono grab or the club attack or whatever, okay? It's the fact that it's the essence of what I'm trying to get across to you, okay? But you are what you do. A lot of that conversation, people that just became a disciple, I want you to realize that when I knew that I was going to do this morning, I really thought that it would be very important for me to talk to you, about that. So take that really personal. But I'm glad that all of you are here to listen to this, really, literally coming from the horse's mouth. Although this is the tiger system. Think of me as a white tiger, not a horse. Okay. All right. I want to do one more thing. And from the beginning of East-West martial arts schools, and certainly the Bok Fu system, there have been 3 Grandmasters. You didn't know that. And we could call it, I never actually titled it, but it's like in fact, why don't you title it, okay? Not now, but tell me later. At the beginning, I was the chairman because I was the founder, but it was Grandmaster Tracy and it was Grandmaster Parker, who was Grandmaster Tracy's teacher, and he was the one, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Parker Ranch in Hawaii, but he was a descendant of the royal family, and he introduced Kempo to the mainland United States. He came to the United States, I think it was in 1956. I came out from Connecticut in 1957, had some introduction background in jiu-jitsu and Shotokan, but my real training really began with Grandmaster Tracy. Grandmaster Parker died. Okay, he passed away. Unfortunately, it was a stunning situation for me because I'm not sure you realize it, but he was 58 years old. So take your age, and at 58 years old, I didn't have somebody that I could call. But when I moved into, the situation where I was going to found Bok Fu Do, I used to talk to them. I would call them from all over the world, and actually you wrote some of the letters when we were going to different countries and whatnot, and I told them that if it weren't for them, and I was always very respectful. When he passed, Michael Wong is not here, but he was our guest this morning that I wanted to talk about a little bit. His father, I asked him, and he became on the board of directors. As a matter of fact, when I talked to him and asked him, he said he would be honored, to be part of that. Grandmaster Wong has probably been the best friend I've ever had, other than one of my masters or a student. No one like Grandmaster Wong. Our backgrounds are very, 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 very different. But when you are around a character like me and you're on the board of directors, the reality is his life work has been melded together in my life's work. His job has been to architecturally put that together, okay? Remember, my background was boxing, where you really hit someone. My students were always referred to as headhunters because that's how you're going to knock someone out, okay? And then it was jiu-jitsu, which was joint control and this type of thing. And then Shotokan, which I loved because you had to look good. You'd be good at that in movies, okay? Because your posture and the concept is better to know better than to know more. The content was very limited. The twist, punch, front kick. By the way, I didn't invent the forward snap kick. I don't want you to be disillusioned. Or the punch. I stole it. I traveled all over the world and I borrowed these things, okay? But all of this, all of the things that we teach is under the heading of Bok Fu. Bok Fu was my style. When I became a Grandmaster, then Bok Fu, the Do was added on. The Do was something that the Christians used. I don't know if you know that. And it was 75 years after Christ's death. Up to that point, they were referred to not as Christians, but people of the Do, okay? And Do means way, okay? You would say chi, you'd say, what is that? What's the Chinese way of saying that? Pi? Pi, yeah, thanks. I'm glad you're sitting here. He's a Grandmaster now. I can forget these things, and he tells me. That's why you're going to notice they're always sitting, the highest ranking always sit right next to me. So they can whisper in my ear. But you know what I'm getting at, and so the next stage was I was the chairman, Grandmaster Tracy, and of course Grandmaster Wong, who you have had the opportunity to work with every year for, I think, since 1989. You know, he's been coming out here. Okay, the point of this story is within the last 12 months, Grandmaster Tracy has passed. I think if you're on the internet, you may know of that. In fact, we had a special memorial dinner for him that I hope most of you were able to go to and whatnot. So right now, as of this time, there are only 2 Grandmasters that are on the council. This is very historic, okay, so I'd like you to give him a big hand because I'm inviting now Grandmaster Buckley to be that 3rd member. According to my notes here, and the message from Miss Newman here, and the light flashing on that camera right there, I don't think I've got any more to say. And you know, Marcia, how did I do? By the way, did you learn a few things? Yeah, good. Just take it easy on the ride home, you know, because I'll be very tired. I always get in the back seat, by the way, but there's always a power behind the master or the grandmaster. You know, Sherwitz, Joe. Know who there's something about concubine with him, that it was on a China trip and he had these women that were carrying him around because he made believe, I'm kind of doing it today, that he couldn't walk, so as you can see, there's a lot of joy, up here. I got it. Okay, I can't think of anything. Did you actually, now that you've said some wonderful things, now you're on the Grandmaster board of this thing. This is terrific. You're looking at the whole thing, the Bach Pluto system. Isn't this great? And you guys are here at the beginning. You want to remember this. Take pictures. It's terrific. You want to say anything more? I mean, I'm out of it. I can't. My whole list of points that I had to make is now gone. I have nothing to say.
I will say simply, is an honor, as it has been the entire time that I've been with Senior Grandmaster Lee. And now we need to take some pictures.
Thanks for coming.